Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another DC comic review, and in this DC comic review I'll be covering Batman issue 133 and The Flash 1 Minute War part 5, but issue 794. So I'll get things quickly organized so I can begin on the first comic that will be reviewed, starting now. So, first things first, I just want to point out that I will not be covering the backstory, even though I do think the backstory has been pretty good in this so far. So definitely check it out. At least it's a somewhat better typewritten representation of Tim Drake, with its little highs and lows, of course, like usual. So, moving into first things first, does this cover in any way, shape, or form connect to something that's happening inside with the story? Sure enough, it does, to which I give a 7.5 out of 10. It's now time to move into the internal art and also some of the things that are happening story-wise. So as we start to move into the beginning of the book, we have Batman here, who has basically confronted the Riddler of this world, but as you can see here, there's actually a slight difference in his costume. As the story advances, we end up catching up with Bruce Wayne, who is stuck in this particular world, and we also get to catch up the Alfred in this world. As the story draws closer towards the end, we end up catching up with this one's Selina Kyle once again. And she also helps him basically find the Gotham or the Arkham Caves. And I must admit, the way that these Arkham Caves are done, it reminds me a lot of the one in the video game. Especially in... it's not the first one. I think it's more so the second or the third. No, I think it's the second one, to which you actually get to see more of the caves. So for the internal art, I give it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move in relation to the story. And to those who are not familiar with how I cover my story racing, just to let you know, I cover the areas of references, especially like comic references. If it's important for the writer to include something in the story and they need a bit of a comic reference to maybe a previous issue that they might have done, even if it's the last issue, that gets covered. Next is the area of time, because time lets us know as to when these things are taking place throughout the day or throughout a number of days, or maybe even a month. And of course, the location and cast of characters. So first things first, did we get any comic references? No, we didn't. The next is the area of time. No, we didn't. The next is locations, which we got the city Arkham Caves, and that also takes place in Gotham. And last but not least, cast of characters, to which we had Batman, Edward Nigma, who is the Riddler of this universe, Selina Kyle, the Red Mask villain who is running the city, but I'm wondering if the villain of the city... now, I've heard some people say that it might be Bruce Wayne, but what if that's actually a misdirection and it's not Bruce Wayne, but Thomas Elliot, who is Hush? Because don't forget, Hush is one person who somewhat, wants to appear and look like Bruce Wayne, And he would also be a character that would hold a grudge. And it also looks like he has some form of control over the villains of this particular Gotham. Now, I think that would probably make a little bit more sense than for it being Bruce Wayne in this particular universe, to where Bruce is actually being thrown into. And it would also serve the character's motivations. And last but not least, the character of Alfred, to which I give the overall story a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the next story, and that is The Flash 794. So, as we begin to move into The Flash, issue 794, does this cover in any way, shape, or form connect to something that's happening inside of the story? It does, to which I give it a 7 out of 10, as I believe we've got Irie on the cover. It's now time to move into the internal art, as well as some of the things that are happening story-wise. So as the story begins, we catch up with the character of Miss Murder, and we also get to see like the Superman in this, and Jay. And if it's one thing I'd sort of want to point out, is that I think the costume for Irie here should maybe somewhat match the one that's on the cover. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but she looks too much like Impulse. And that's my only issue. So as the story advances, as we draw a little bit closer, we meet up with the characters of the Fraction, and also whoever else has been captured, and some of the discussions going on. We, of course, catch up with the Wally West family and also the members that make up the Flash family. And finishing off with Jay Garrick, who is ready to rumble with a big beastie of a weapon. So, for the internal art, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move in relation to the story. First things first, did we get any comic references? No, we didn't. Indication of the area of time? No, we didn't. Location? No, we didn't. Last but not least, we had Impulse, Irie, Jay, Irie, Miss Murder, and also the members who make up the Flash family. The overall story rating for this is a 7.5 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.